Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. And also, all throughout this month, I am sponsored by Roll for Combat, yes, and their Battlezoo Bestiary Elemental Storm Kickstarter. Yes, that is right. So we will talk a little bit about the Kickstarter for Elemental Storm in just a few moments. Funny enough, I had to reach over and grab that because I had this sitting here, and I went to grab this, the Jewel of the Indigo Isles, which is also from Roll for Combat. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. That's not the Kickstarter book. The hell am I doing? What the hell am I doing? So there you have that. Yes. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, by all means, please stop on by thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. This is live show number 1100. Even exact. 1100 live streams. Yowza. Yes. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual. Just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I will usually pontificate about a topic related to our hobby, which I shall be doing tonight because I'll be talking about my favorite tabletop role-playing game publishers. And I'll also discuss why each of these publishers happens to be one of my favorites. So we'll be taking a peek at that. I am taking a quick look here. All right, come on. For some reason my mouse is not behaving properly. Okay. For a second, I thought maybe there was a problem with the stream, but no, looks fine. Everything looks okay. Hey, you never know, right? You just never know. Of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 10 minutes before you can take part in chat. Yeah, another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. Looks like chat is rocking and rolling already. First out the gate tonight is Gleam1RX, as well as our good friend of the show, the Madman. He happens to be one of our chat moderators. Semper Buffo, Cthulhu, Russell Higgins, Scott Larez. It's Scott Lazars. There we go. I was like, what the hell am I talking about? The hell? That's not what the letters are spelling out, Jeff. It's Lazars. I believe this is a first-time visit in chat for Scott. Welcome aboard. Chris Burkhardt is with us. Sean O'Donnell is chiming in. They are in the theater getting ready to see Beetlejuice. I'm guessing. It just says Beetlejuice. But I highly doubt Sean is in a theater that's showing the original Beetlejuice. I'm taking a guess. It's Beetlejuice. Warren Rollins is with us, as is Rich H. Stephen from Roll for Combat is also popping on in. So Rich H says, good evening from the UK in Sheffield. They've got a massive cold there, so they can't sleep. So, hey, I hope you feel a little bit better. So, yeah, Stephen from Roll for Combat is saying your faves. Yes, and I will tell you right up front, Roll for Combat is not part of the list. And the reason why is because Stephen and I have not worked together very much. So you will see when we get into the list of my favorites, you'll see why. I mean, I have been dealing with these publishers for years. So that is why I had a feeling Stephen was going to pop in and be like, hey, is Roll for Combat on that list? I'm just being honest. Anyway, Sarah D is chiming in. I was just about to say I am going to take a guess. The lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is lurking in the shadows, but she popped out of the shadows to say hello before I got to that point. Yes. So as I mentioned, Stephen and the fine folks from Roll for Combat are sponsoring the dispatch all throughout the month, into a little bit of next month as well. And of course, they are in the midst of a highly successful Kickstarter for the Battle Zoo Bestiary Elemental Storm. And there is a short Kickstarter video. Let's give it a peek.
Listen up, Dungeon Masters. Your players are falling asleep at the table. What? Your wizard is going to use catapult to throw rocks at a monster again? How about instead of that, the wizard covers their body in rocks and hurls themselves? Now you're thinking like a badass using Battle Zoo Bestiary Elemental Storm. Filled with over 150 innovative elemental monsters, new elemental spells, and the monster parts system, allowing you to craft weapons, armor, and magic items from the creatures you slay, infusing elemental magic into them with 20 unique elements. Sure, there's classics like air, earth, fire, and water, but there's even weirder elements like music, space, and time. Doctor Who, Doctor You.
Wait, I'm a player, not a dungeon master. Why should I give a shit?
Well, Yahtzee, how about a brand new character archetype, the Monster Hunter? Climb on creatures, target specific body parts, and weaken them. Or just grab a small monster and use their attacks against the big one.
Ooh, you sold me at big ones.
Best of all, this archetype can fit along any class. Fighter Monster Hunter? Duh. Monk Monster Hunter? Sure. Wizard Monster Hunter? Well, it'll set the difficulty up, but go right ahead. Elemental Storm is filled with over 250 pages packed with stunning illustrations, detailed rules on the monster parts system, and so much more for your Pathfinder 2e and D&D 5th edition games. Click on the link below or head on over to kickstarter.rollforcombat.com to secure your copy of Battle Zoo Bestiary Elemental Storm today, and turn your table from slow and crunchy to fast and furious.
Don't know why that other video all of a sudden popped up, started playing. That was a little weird. Anywho, the Kickstarter for Battle Zoo Bestiary Elemental Storm funded it in the first 10 minutes. So it is rocking and rolling. It is knocking stretch goals out left and right, all over the place. And of course, Stephen from Roll for Combat keeps popping in here to make sure that I do not share a look inside this book. That's right, because I've been sworn to secrecy not to reveal anything inside the book. Ha! It's too fast. You didn't even see what it was. But you can reserve a copy of the hardcover of Elemental Storm in either flavor, 5e Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder 2nd Edition, for a $60 pledge. Or if you just want to grab the PDF, you can do that for a $30 pledge through October 8th. And expected delivery is going to be next spring. Very nice. Very cool. And if you happen to have checked out the review I did for Jewel of the Indigo Isles, you know that just production quality alone for Roll for Combat books, top notch. Absolutely top notch. So there we have that. So we've got a few more people popping on into chat. We have got, let's see, Testy Trekkie is chiming in from New Zealand. That's pretty wild because I thought Testy Trekkie is normally in Australia. Chris Lundgren's with us, as is Kathy Evans. The Badger is popping on in saying that they hope it's all AI-generated content in the Elemental Storm book. Nicholas Wolf is with us, and I think that is it. I think I've said hello to everybody. Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's jump on into the news, because Limithron has a new Pirate Borg Kickstarter. Yes, it launched today. It funded in, I do believe, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I've got the latest on Down Among the Dead. The new Kickstarter launched for Limithron, and beginning Tuesday, today, September 17th, backers will be able to pick up a trove of new content, including the new hardcover expansion, you guessed it, Down Among the Dead, featuring 3 new adventures and a host of new Game Master resources. But that's just the first volley. This same Kickstarter is also funding the Pirate Borg Starter Set. In this box, you'll find a new adventure, Trapped in the Tropics, a player's guide, encounter maps, naval and combat tokens, reference cards, cheat sheets, and a set of Jolly Roger dice. There's also a second hardcover on offer in this Kickstarter, and that's Cabin Fever. It is a 180-page compendium packed with player options, roll tables, and 6 new adventures, all created by Limithron's conspirator creator community. Finally, fill out your fleet of accessories with all new naval combat tokens, water hex mats, monster combat tokens, sharp-edged resin dice sets, devil's luck coins, A5 panel GM screen, plus every previous release in the Pirate Borg arsenal will be available in this Kickstarter. Now, if you back in the first 48 hours, you'll also get the Dark Caribbean port generator and the Charon's Lost Soul iron-on patch for free. There is a short Kickstarter video, so let's take a peek.
Welcome, drowned souls and shipwrecked mariners, to the locker. The lost meander here. The chains that bound them to the corporeal world rust and crumble as they sink deeper and deeper into the void. Perhaps there is a chance for you. Perhaps you will escape the endless waters of purgatory and return to the realm of the living. Perhaps you might reclaim the feeble carnal existence you once loathed. Or perhaps, more likely, you are now one of the many, down among the dead. Pirate Borg, down among the dead.
This Pirate Borg Kickstarter has already passed the $250,000 mark in less than 24 hours. I gotta say, that is pretty amazing. You can reserve a copy of the hardcover, Down Among the Dead, for a pledge of $40. If you want just a PDF, you can reserve that for a $20 pledge. If you want to reserve the starter set, you can do so for a $30 pledge through October 15th. There are lots of various different pledge levels for this. I don't think there's a PDF for the starter set, though. I did not stumble across a pledge level for that. I think the starter set is only physical. Now, expected delivery is March for the digital releases and September of 2025 for all of the physical releases. And yes, this is pretty impressive. And I also have to point out that the fine folks over at Limithron also included the gaming gang in their reviewers for Pirate Borg. And as people ask me, hey, what's your favorite Borg? I always tell them it's Pirate Borg. I really do like Cyborg. I don't mind Mirkberg, as I like to say. I think it's fine. I liked it well enough when I reviewed it. But I think that Cyborg and especially Pirate Borg really, really do so much in a relatively small book. So very cool. Should also mention that Luke from Limithron is going to be sending everything that's currently available in print, physically available, for Pirate Borg for us to take a peek at. I thought that was kind of cool too. So we're going to get an opportunity to see that. So I know there is an adventure book. So I'm like, cool. So they're going to send whatever they've got available right now. And of course, when this comes out next year, we will have an opportunity to take a peek at this. Also, because I have been told they're going to go send it on out. Yes. All right. A few more people have popped on into chat. So we've got, let's see. Cornelius, I think that's how it's pronounced. Cassiopeia Nebula says, I finally made it to a live stream. Welcome aboard. Peaceful Porcupine is also popping on in. Says, they keep getting recommendations for Pirate Borg, but I don't have a great view of the characteristics people generally associate Merkberg with when they try to sell me on it. I would have to say, just design philosophy-wise, quite different between Merkberg and Pirate Borg. As far as Pirate Borg, this was one of the things I mentioned in my review, is with like Morkborg, it's art punk, right? We talked about art punk before. I'm not a huge fan of art punk because some of the art punk releases that come out are more about the artwork, less about the game. And I don't mind if it's an art book. Well, that's great. But the thing is, if something's being ballyhooed as a game, and then it turns out it's not really much of a game, it's just more of an art book, I don't care for it that much. As far as with Pirate Borg, it's a game that's got some great artwork, a lot of really fun tables. So I highly recommend it. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I liked it that much. I really, really did. Chris Lundgren's asking, out of all the role-playing games I've reviewed, which one stands out as a waste of time and money? I can maybe look at talking about that after the news, but nothing actually jumps out. Really. Nothing really jumps out memory-wise. It was like, oh my God, this was awful. Just absolutely horrible. Because the reality is, if it's terrible, I don't tend to share a review of it. I don't waste my time actually recording a review. Brent Norton's with us in chat. Noel Inquisitor is with us as well again. Good to see you both. All right. Moving on to the next news piece, now available from Pinnacle Entertainment Group, is the science fiction companion for Savage Worlds. And I've got the skinny. The science fiction genre is massive, like space itself. It encompasses everything from dystopian tales of a grim near future to star-hopping tales of far-flung galactic adventure. The Savage Worlds science fiction companion provides all the tools you need to emulate any science fiction world from games, books, movies, and television, or those of your own creation, all in the award-winning Savage Worlds rules system. This 306-page hardcover book updates the original science fiction companion to be completely compatible with the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. Here's what you're going to find inside. New character ancestries, options, edges, and hindrances for everything from star-spanning humans to most any alien creature you can imagine. Customizable and pre-made suits of power armor, starships, and vehicles of all sorts. You can make anything from the Mercury capsule to world-wrecking behemoths. Pages of new and updated gear to help you run the dystopian streets or exotic planets, and a massive arsenal of weapons and armor. An all-new event-based system for quickly and easily running chases, dogfights, or vehicular shootouts. Narrative outpost rules. The science fiction take on the narrative system first introduced in the Superpowers Companion. Bring a unique base for your party in the heart of a dying sun, the drifting ruins of a space hulk, or the penthouse of a crowded industrial city. New setting rules for everything from net running to starship combat to transhumanism, and a whole new simplified system for handling massive vehicular weapons and vehicular armor that's called heavy metal. Brand new arcane backgrounds, psionic abilities, and even psychically powered weapons. There's a huge bestiary of scoundrels, xenos, monsters, and evil empires to challenge, as well as dozens of strange and alien artifacts to discover. The 306-page PDF is available right now. The physical book is not available for pre-order just yet. I was kind of surprised. Although it just recently finished a Kickstarter that's been fulfilling, so that's probably why. But you can score the PDF for $30 over at Drive-Thru RPG. The madman who is our resident Savage Worlds expert says there is lots of good stuff in that Savage Worlds science fiction companion. Yes, yes, yes. Kevin R. Smith is with us in chat. So I reached out to Pinnacle Entertainment Group because I hadn't heard from them in a long time. And it was kind of funny because I had shared some reviews of Savage Worlds. I had shared a review of the Ultimate Core box for Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, or as people like to refer to it, Savage Pathfinder. I did Deadlands, and I did Holler. And then that was it. Didn't hear anything. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to reach out and see, what's going on. So I reached out. It turned out that they had a turnover in marketing people. You know how that goes. That's how that goes, right? So they were like, oh, because I said, was there an issue? Was there a problem with, the coverage that you didn't like? Because I would think, that would be it, right? That'd be something. And the response was, oh my gosh, no, they loved the coverage. They had a change in marketing people and the ball got dropped. So I guess we're going to see some Savage World stuff in the not too distant future. We shall see. We shall see what happens. Very nice. Very nice. So there is some discussion of who my favorite publishers are going to be. I am not presenting them in any sort of order. So just so you know, They're not in any order outside of being alphabetical. But as I mentioned, I will tell you why each of the publishers are in my favorites. So there will be that. Moving right along, last Thursday, I mentioned that there were 2 bundles of holding, which were currently featuring Level Up A5E. I talked about the core. Now I'm going to share the deets on the deal, which focuses on adventures. Look sharp, adventurer. This all-new Level Up Adventures bundle is the second of 2 offers in progress that feature Level Up, the advanced 5th edition tabletop fantasy role-playing game from N Publishing. If you're new to this deeper and more flexible enhancement of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, start with core rulebooks in the other bundle that's in progress. Then take a peek at this bundle with recent source books and adventures, plus the starter box. For just $12.95, you'll get all 3 titles in the starter collection as DRM-free ebooks, including the complete ready-to-run digital Level Up starter box with a new 3-adventure path and pre-generated player characters, along with the Gate Pass Gazette Annual 2022 and Annual 2023, with tons of new combat traditions, archetypes, heritages, backgrounds, cultures, and destinies. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $29.22, you'll level up. Ha! And also get the entire bonus collection with 3 more titles worth an additional $70, including the Dungeon Delver's Guide source book, the Spacefaring Steampunk campaign setting, Adventures in Zeitgeist, and the full-length epic adventure path to Save a Kingdom. You'll need the core Level Up rulebooks to use these adventures. Once again, if you don't have those, check out the other bundle. These savings will run through September 30th. Once again, I'm still curious about this. I really am curious about Level Up. I have heard good stuff. I've heard good stuff in the past. I did reach out to N Publishing. Somebody had said, yeah, you know what? Morris is a good chap. Reach out. Now, I don't know if it was Morris I reached out to, because I actually reached out through X, formerly Twitter. I did not shoot an email, but they follow me, I follow them. So I thought, just send along a message. Didn't hear anything back. I might reach out and shoot an email along. But, funny enough, I thought I had once before and didn't hear back. I don't know. So jokingly, people are saying Palladium's going to be in the list. Steve Jackson Games will be in the list. Wizards of the Coast. No, that's an 0 for 3 right there. Kevin R. Smith says it seems good, but they haven't had a chance to play or run it. I would be kind of curious about it. The reality is, though, I'm trying to reduce crunch as far as role-playing game rules, as opposed to adding additional crunch. But then again, if it's a bit more intuitive than, say, 5e Dungeons & Dragons, that makes up for it. Let's move on to our next news piece, because yesterday, Chaosium Inc. announced an upcoming Kickstarter. I know I don't normally talk about upcoming Kickstarters, but at least this one we've got a little bit of information about. Because a lot of times it's just this will be coming to Kickstarter in 7 months. Here's the name of it. Share the news. And it's it's not really much news. Agile Monk is with us in chat, says, A5E Level Up is absolutely great material, plays really well, and it does improve 5E. Yes. Anyway, so Chaosium Inc. announced there will be a Kickstarter next month to produce a 40th anniversary edition of ElfQuest, the official role-playing game. Here's a bit of the scoop. Chaosium Inc. and ElfQuest creators Wendy and Richard Pini have announced that Chaosium will produce a classic reissue of the ElfQuest tabletop role-playing game, first published by Chaosium in 1984 and based on the popular comic book series. For years, ElfQuest fans have asked us to bring the game back into print. Based on all we've learned from our previous classic projects, we are ready to add ElfQuest Classic as the next in this series. We all look forward to revisiting, rediscovering, and further exploring the Pini's world of two moons, says Chaosium Inc. President Rick Mintz. ElfQuest co-creator Richard Pini added, ElfQuest has from its inception been about the value and strength of family and tribe. We can't think of a better way to encourage community than through people coming together to enjoy the world-building challenges that role-playing offers. Coinciding with the 40th anniversary of the original release of the ElfQuest RPG, Chaosium will be launching a Kickstarter campaign in October to bring back this classic game in its original box edition format with the later supplements included. All the Chaosium ElfQuest RPG content will be brought back to life. Important to know that. Of course, stay tuned. I will have far more information, of course, once the Kickstarter launches. To my understanding, Rick Mintz is in charge of this. It is all going to be tackled mostly by him, or it's going to be all overseen by him personally, just like he did with the RuneQuest Classic Box and the Call of Cthulhu Classic Box, which I have reviewed, if you recall that. I had the ElfQuest role-playing game back in the day when it came out. I bought it, and funny enough, I remember picking it up, and it came in one of those inch-thick boxes that Chaosium was famous for. And I'm trying to remember where I was heading. I think I was heading over to Elliot's house on the bus, and I was reading it on the bus. And then, of course, picking up the role-playing game led me to start picking up the graphic novels of ElfQuest. So there was that as well. So I have very fond memories of ElfQuest. I never ran it. Another one of those role-playing games I went and bought, read it, thought it was pretty cool, did not run it. You know how those things are. So this is pretty exciting. I know a lot of people have been asking Chaosium Inc. to re-release ElfQuest, and they will. It's very nice. Very nice. I don't think we'll see it like a new edition or anything like that. I just think we're going to see a Kickstarter to reprint the other supplements as well that came out alongside, or I should say down the line from ElfQuest. So pretty nice. I thought that was pretty exciting news. Very cool. Final news item of the evening. Out in print and PDF for Bloat Games is the Dark Places and Demogorgons Ultimate Edition. And here's what I know. In the 1980s, strange things happened everywhere. Bloat Games proudly presents Survive This, Dark Places and Demogorgons Ultimate Edition. Survive This, Dark Places and Demogorgons is an OSR horror tabletop role-playing game set in the 1980s, where you play as teenagers from a small town where strange occurrences began popping up all around. The adults are too busy to care, and the police don't believe you. It's up to you and your friends to figure out what's going on and stop it from happening again. Dark Places and Demogorgons uses the Survive This game system. Survive This is an OSR D20-based game system that features class and level, attributes, strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma, and survival. Survival allows you to re-roll failed attempts, similar to luck in Dungeon Crawl Classics. There's ascending armor class, advantage and disadvantage, hit points, and saving throws. Most rolls are D20 plus modifier to beat a target difficulty where rolling higher is better. Simple skill system and a lot more. If you've played any version of the world's most popular fantasy role-playing game, what could that have been? You can play Survive This and know exactly what is going on almost right away. It's very easy to pick up. If you have no experience with those games, Survive This is easily approachable and has about the same learning curve as any traditional tabletop role-playing game. Survive This Dark Places and Demogorgons Ultimate Edition is designed to be a standalone game, meaning no other products are needed to play. However, because it is part of the Survive This game series, it's 100% compatible with games like We Die Young, What Shadows Hide, Vigilante City, The Dead West, Bloody Appalachia, and more. The Ultimate Edition will include all the core rules needed for play and character creation, along with a full setting guide, monsters, villains, bestiary, adventure seeds, equipment, random tables, an index, appendices, and more. It will do this while remaining 100% mechanically compatible with all Survive This Dark Places and Demogorgons products. The 204-page Dark Places and Demogorgons Ultimate Edition hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $60. Now, I have seen that it's normally $75, so I don't know if it's normally $75 on sale for $60, or it's just saying it's $75 and its real MSRP is $60. But with the PDF, you can score it for $60. Or if you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do so over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. And I've always heard Dark Places and Demogorgons is pretty good. It's pretty good. I've never had an opportunity to check out any of the Bloat games. I wouldn't mind, because I know they've got this. Don't they also have like an OSR fantasy Survive This title out there? I could have swore they did. Kevin R. Smith says they saw the ElfQuest announcement earlier. Sounds like it's going to be out of their budget, though they'd jump at it if they had unlimited funds. Yeah, I'm not positive exactly what we're looking at cost-wise. I think there's still some discussions going on over at Chaosium about it. Can't really say. So, but yes, I understand where Kevin R. Smith is coming from. Peaceful Porcupine says right now they're trying to figure out how to market a tiny pirate's table because it seems to have a lack of clout. Gloomwin RX says, I understand that many people found ElfQuest to be highly influential in their adolescent years. Very possible. I mean, it is built upon basic role-playing, so you've got that. Chris Lundgren's talking about Dark Places and Demogorgons, says it's one of their favorites, and Buddy approves of that news piece. Hello, Buddy the Cockatiel. Chris also says it's got a great community as well as their supplements. Walona's Cave is with us. Welcome back. Good to see you. Chris Lundgren says if you order direct, Eric Bloat offers sales on the direct website. Well, you know, we don't have a budget here, so it's not like we have really an opportunity to order much. All right. So Kevin R. Smith says they're not sure if there's actually a fantasy supplement for Survive This. Seems to be the only genre they don't have a game for. That's a possibility. Might be, why get into that whole space that's overcrowded, right? Oh, a retro clone of old school Renaissance fantasy. Don't see that too often. Although I thought the Survive This mechanics are relatively modern. It's more, I would take a guess that the people who take OSR like really seriously would say that Survive This is not OSR. I think the advantage, disadvantage right there Or being like, no, that's not OSR. Whereas, of course, myself and people like me, it's like, well, OSR is more the vibe that the game has as opposed to. Kevin R. Smith says, oh, wait, there is a fantasy book for Survive This. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. Chris says they're going to reach out to Eric to see if they can have him send me the PDF. Please don't ask companies to send me PDFs. Because I don't do reviews of PDFs. I've pointed that out before. If a company does send me a PDF and that's what they want to do, that's fine. But Sammy will do the review. So, but just pointing that out. Kevin R. Smith says it's way down on their store webpage. Maybe it's not something that they actively promote. It's a possibility. All right, so that's it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, what have you. Yeah, if you're going to go over the Game Master site, if you're going to go swing over to one of the One Bookshelf sites, stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up. Help keep thegaminggang.com around. Maddie C is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. And of course, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Delish. And there are some of you out there who pop on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and make not small donations, such as the Madman and Joshua Edwards, Kevin King, Agile Monk, just to name a few, just to name the most recent folks. But of course, I appreciate anybody using the banner ads, going over to paypal.me. Hell, I appreciate if you just spread the word about the website and the channel. I mean, that helps a lot too. So thank you kindly, all of you. Anthony Simone is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Says, let's head to the lobby. Crafty Matt is also jumping on in. Agile Monk says, love the big dramatic drink. Well, I don't know how dramatic this is. It's in 3D. Thankfully, it's like here. Otherwise, it'd be splashing all over the place. So tonight, I am going to share my favorite tabletop role-playing game publishers in no particular order outside of being alphabetical order. Before I do that, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Hi, I'm Chili Dilly, the personality pickle. Packed in a jar for the freshest flavor. Served cold in a sack for you to savor. So dainty to eat, no muss, no fuss. An ideal snack for all of us. Crisp, tender, and tasty with a bit of spice. Buy one now. Taste how nice. Snack bar clerks will knock themselves silly, speeding your order for a real Chili Dilly.
When's old man Wilkins gonna pay us for all this foolishness?
When we sell more Wilkins coffee.
Buy Wilkins, will you?
According to an ancient legend, the human body has 7 forbidden acupuncture points. If stimulated correctly with a special golden needle, the result is everlasting youth, pleasure, and vitality. Incorrectly, the result is agonizing death. 7 points, 7 needles, golden needles that can rule the world. American International presents Golden Needles. From the gracious mansions of Beverly Hills to the teeming waterfront of the China Sea, 7 people seek the treasure of pain and pleasure, the fabulous Golden Needles.
It's beautiful, as they say.
250,000.
You're insane. Michelle mentioned any amount of money that is offered. What do you want?
30,000 American dollars.
You got it.
That's the deal. Joe Don Baker, that big man from Walking Tall, as a soldier of fortune, grasping for one last chance.
That's the baby.
Between his friends and his enemies, he's had a hard time staying alive. Elizabeth Ashley as Felicity.
Am I gonna take you home?
She's beautiful.
Definitely.
Smart. And definitely not to be trusted.
Here's no money.
I lost it?
She lost it.
Ann Southern as Finzi, the Mahjong Queen. She has a yen for men, money, and mayhem. Burgess Meredith as Winters. He's so rich, he can kill with a wave of his hand.
Now you get me the statue and the needles and bring them to this specific spot. And if you don't, you will be subtracted.
Jim Kelly as Jeff. He has a talent for karate and a taste for trouble. Roy Chow as Lin Tao. He's an artist. He works in oils and blood. Frances Fong as Su Lin. She may look delicate, but watch out. 7 desperate people on one desperate chase to find the Golden Needles. He who owns them can rule the world.
Golden Needles, starring Mitchell. Yeah, it's like, what an awful looking movie. And I'm sorry, a crowd of Asian folks chasing after Joe Don Baker. I don't think Joe Don Baker's getting away. I just don't think so. And him climbing a fence, yeah, okay. Maybe if there was an escalator going up that fence, maybe. Ah, yes. Crafty Matt says their favorite thing about The Quiet Man, fantastic movie, is when all the characters have a pint of Guinness, it sloshes all over the place because they're so animated when they're talking to one another. Mateo is with us in chats, and I think we've got a couple other folks who popped on in. Tim Johnson, James Eck is with us. Looks like we've got a nice chat rocking and rolling tonight. Mateo says, why don't they make trailers like that anymore? I don't know about particularly that one. So, Kevin R. Smith asks, how many people thought Golden Needle was the band that sang Radar Love? Michael Chad is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. So I am going to talk about my favorite publishers in just a moment, but I wanted to mention, this just shows you how bizarre doing this sort of thing is as a content creator, right? So I get a comment on Saturday. It was Saturday or Sunday. And the person said, God, I hate your voice. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But it was, I hate your voice. Said, God, I hate your voice. I've really tried, but I just can't. But you always review such really good stuff, something along those lines. So I was like, yeah, well, don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. Oh, I know. They also said, oh, I hope Seth reviews this. It was like, yeah, okay. So the Badger says he's also in the original Walking Talk movie. It's Walking Tall. I think that was just a keyboard mishap there. So yeah, there you go. Badger's like Walking Tall. Anyway, so yeah, so somebody had said, oh, I hate your voice. I'm like, whatever. It's my voice. There's nothing I can do about it. Don't like it, fine. And then yesterday I get a comment from somebody asking, have you ever worked in radio or done voiceover work? You mean with the voice that everybody hates? I was like, Anthony Simone says, what a douchebag. Yeah, I know. Cleveland RX says, there's only one response to that guy. Meek, meek. Yes. Anyway. So tonight, let's talk about my favorite publishers. And keep in mind, just because I don't mention a publisher does not mean that I dislike them or anything like that. For the most part, if I don't mention a publisher, it's because maybe I don't work with them. Maybe I haven't reviewed a lot of stuff from them. Maybe I have in the past and then they've changed marketing people and I never heard from them again. So please keep that in mind. And yes, there are some companies that I do not cover. If you watch this regularly, you know that. So Keithulu says they work with a woman who has the same accent as I do. She's originally from Chicago too. You know, it's funny, when I lived in Arizona, people used to tell me there was no way I could have been from Chicago. And it was like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, you don't sound like you're from Chicago. And I'm like, you do realize that what you see with the, hey, yeah, we went over by there and we grabbed ourselves some Italian sausages and watched the Bears. Nobody really talks like that. And if anybody talks sort of like that, that's South Side Chicago. It's a very small area. Most people speak like I do and sound like I do, but with a voice that people don't hate. So keep that in mind. Crafty Matt asks, does Jeff's favorite publisher reveal his taste in games or his favorite genre? Well, once again, this isn't like a countdown to my favorite. I'm going to present these in alphabetical order. And I will also tell you why that publisher is one of my favorites. And we're going to start on off with Arc Dream Publishing, the publishers of Delta Green, as well as the upcoming Black Company role-playing game that they are working on. And this happens to be God's Teeth, which, funny enough, I was not going to do a review of. I have mentioned in the past there's some subject matter here that I'm not comfortable with. And I had actually let my contact at Arc Dream Publishing know. And they're like, oh, we have no problem with that. We completely understand. And then I decided, you know what? I am going to do a review. I have shot it. It's done. You can see it on Thursday. I will be posting it on Thursday. But I do not give it a review score. And I explain why. So why do I find Arc Dream Publishing to be one of my favorite publishers? Well, there's something that my favorite publishers, for the most part, all have in common. And that is they're always excited to see coverage of their company from me. be it a first look video, a review video, a news piece, what have you. My favorite publishers appreciate the coverage. So that's a big deal to me, that people appreciate the gaming gang and what we do and Sammy's reviews and things like that. So for one, that plays a role in my favorite publishers. It really does. They're always great people to work with. I've never had any issue with them whatsoever. And I like Delta Green. I really do. Now, I point out that there are some adventures from Delta Green that are pretty wild. So, such as this one, that maybe I would not run at my table, or at least run as written at my table. But I also feel that when you pick up something from Art Dream Publishing, you're getting a good adventure, or you're getting a good like core book or what have you. So Gleeman RX says it's a controversial pick. Maybe controversial depending on your political stance. But as far as being controversial as being a really good publisher, I don't think there's any controversy there. I mean, a lot of people really dig Delta Green. Next up, as I try to get the book and it's stuck because it's got markers here that were just stuck under another book. Yes, Chaosium Inc. You knew Chaosium Inc. would be part of my list. Absolutely love Call of Cthulhu. I would say 90% or more of the releases that come out from Chaosium Inc., I think, are really good or better. So that's important. There was a time that Chaosium Inc. was, well, they were risking going out of business. They were going to go belly up. And then Greg Stafford stepped back in to the company and really saved their bacon. And ever since then, I mean, Chaosium's basically been knocking out of the park with release after release after release. So really nice work. This Arkham book is excellent. I just did my review for Cthulhu by Gaslight, which is right over my shoulder here. So yeah, really well done. Definitely love Chaosium Inc. And once again, another company that's always excited to see me at a convention. I came up and I always talk to Rick Mintz. Sometimes I'll talk to Jeff Richard, who is in charge of the RuneQuest line. I talked to him for a few minutes at the last Gen Con, but not like on the record. Wasn't like an interview. And Mike Mason was there. And if you've seen my interview with Chaosium, I talked with Rick and Mike. And Mike Mason was all excited to do an interview with me. So I was like, hey, yeah, it feels good when a publisher's excited to see you. And it's not just like, oh, who's this asshole? Another idiot I got to talk to. Another review I got to do. Oh, boy. Talking about publishers that are always happy to see me. Cubicle 7 Games. Another company that, in my opinion, releases some really top-notch role-playing games and adventures, supplements, and so forth. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I really think that Cubicle 7 Games has done yeoman's work with that IP. I've got my review of Broken Weave coming this weekend, so stay tuned for that. This is a completely new IP for Cubicle 7 Games. It does not fall into the WIFRIP mechanics. It's not mechanically like Soulbound or any other role-playing game that Chaosium Inc. Cubicle 7 Games happens to release. But like I said, another company that's always super happy to talk with me. And if you had an opportunity to check out my interview with T.S. Luckhart, who's a pal of mine at Gen Con this past year, take a peek if you haven't taken a look at it. And stay tuned. I will have my review of Broken Weave in the not too distant future. Gluin RX said they were talking about the book's subject matter, read many comments warning that God's Teeth had traumatic material. Yep. So I thought you were saying it's a controversial pick as them as a publisher. I will say that, and I talk about this all the time, Delta Green is not a role-playing game for the faint of heart, it's also aimed at a mature gamer. So there's just, I talk about this in my review. You'll have to check it out when it pops up on Thursday. Just some topics that I'm not comfortable with at my game table. And it's, I just don't want to deal with it. I mean, I don't want those sorts of real world horrors, rearing their ugly heads around my game table. So I kind of mentioned that. I don't get into a ton of detail, but I do give you a pretty good feel for what you're going to find in God's Teeth. Now, there are adventures that come out for Delta Green that are twisted, but they're not, traumatic or anything. So Russell Higgins says, it's not for me, too rough. I get it. I understand it. But then, there are a lot of people out there who absolutely love Delta Green. And personally, I think it's an excellent role-playing game. It just, a lot of the stuff I wouldn't run it. Not a lot. Some of the stuff that's published for Delta Green, I wouldn't run. I mean, it's just how it goes. All right, moving right along. Another absolutely fantastic publisher to work with is Free League Publishing. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this continues to be the case, because there was a woman who I dealt with for years with Free League Publishing. She was their marketing person. Super, super nice. I mean, she would get you anything you needed. And just was always very complimentary, always made sure to share coverage from the gaming gang on all these social media sites out there that they had accounts at. Now, Free League Publishing is using a marketing company. So fingers crossed, we're not going to see too much of a fall off, but I've always gotten along really nicely with Free League Publishing. They've always appreciated the coverage that they get from the gaming gang. In fact, I mentioned I did an interview with Tomas at Gen Con this year, and he was running late. And then I needed to get to another interview where I was actually going to be talking about one of Free League Publishing's releases, but it wasn't at their exhibit area. And there were some people who were waiting who were ahead of me to do interviews with Tomas. And Tomas was like, hey, I need to talk to Jeff first. I was like, oh, hey, thanks. I was like, okay, cool. So I thought that was very nice. I thought that was very cool. And of course, Free League Publishing puts out some absolutely fantastic role-playing games. They really, really do. Now, there are a few that I'm kind of like, pretty good. I think they are kind of getting stretched a little thin. Fingers crossed that is not going to continue to be the case, but it does feel a little bit like that. So we're going to see what the future holds. But Blade Runner, really, really well done. If you like The Lord of the Rings, you got to take a peek at The One Ring, or if you'd prefer the 5e mechanics. And of course, there's the Lord of the Rings role-playing. There's something for everyone with Free League Publishing, including Dragonbane and Forbidden Lands. And there's the new Coriolis that's coming out, the new edition of that. They're going to be kickstarting a second edition of Alien, which we talked about last week. Kind of surprised by that. But still, very cool. Very cool. So they are one of my favorites. Once again, just a pleasure to deal with. Fingers crossed, that'll be the same as with the various different marketing companies that are out there. So the Badger's talking about Goodman Games. I like Goodman Games stuff. Don't get me wrong. I really like Dungeon Crawl Classics. But as far as a publisher, they're very difficult to get on board with because they're really not interested, for the most part, in reviewers. So they're really not interested in content creators outside of what they do themselves. And I think that's more a Joe Goodman thing than anything. And that's fine. I mean, that's completely his prerogative. But like they had sent me The Dying Earth, which I was doing reviews of, and then they didn't share with any of their social media accounts. I didn't make any mention of them at all. And I even had emailed them to say, what's up? Aren't you interested in these reviews? And they were sort of like, well, we're not in the business of promoting you. That was kind of what they said. I was like, not asking you to promote me. Sharing reviews of your stuff that you sent to be reviewed, and you have no interest in actually sharing it. So I've mentioned this before. As far as publishers go, if publishers send you stuff to review, but then they don't really care about the review, what was the point of sending it? It's like, I don't know. Badger says, I totally get that. I'm only looking at through the consumer lens. But yeah, I like Goodman Games. I like their stuff. I share news about them all the time. So it's not as if I took it personally. It was like, how dare you not share? How dare you not share this on social media? It was like, all right, whatever. Sort of like, that's their prerogative. So, but sorry to say, Goodman Games does not make the list. But a publisher who does is Cobalt Press. Wolfgang Bauer is an absolute joy to chat with, hang out with, just chew the fat, shoot the shit, whatever you want to consider it. Always looks forward to doing an interview with me when I am at Gen Con. If I do make it to Gamehole Con, which is not looking promising at all, I know Cobalt Press is going to be there. I would look to do an interview there as well. There are actually a lot of pretty cool publishers at Gamehole Con that I would like to set up interviews with. It's just, I don't want to be, rocking and rolling solo for 4 days. Just not what I'm looking forward to. But I really like Cobalt Press releases. Now, granted, I told you Tales of the Valiant, the player core, the player's guide, I guess I should say, which is in my hand here. I liked it, but I didn't feel that it was different enough. And I've even mentioned a few times on the show that I think the original game plan was to go far more balls out, as we like to say, as the gang and I like to say, than Cobalt Press actually did. And I know I've actually had some people comment on some videos talking about and getting into detail about, well, if you read their blog, they talk, and it's like, well, I don't have time to read publishers' blogs, you know. But they were like, because I had said, well, when they kickstarted, it was, people had a feeling that it was going to be like really different, or at least try to be different than 5e D&D. But the thing is, I completely understand why it's not. Because it does make business sense to release a role-playing game that is going to be compatible with all the other stuff you've released for 5e D&D over the years that's actually put you where you're at in business. So I completely get that. Always just an absolute joy to work with, not just Wolfgang, the other folks for Cobalt Press that I deal with as far as marketing and that. Super, super nice to come up and say hello to me at conventions and stuff like that. So that's always cool. Once again, it's another publisher who appreciates the coverage that they get from reviewers and content creators and outlets out there. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that a lot. Chris Lundgren's asking if anyone knows where to get planes for Wings for Glory. Ares Games is just, and it was funny. We actually talked to somebody from Ares Games that we used to see all the time. We've interviewed quite a few times over the years because Elliot bought something for, I think it was for War of the Ring, the card game, or maybe he bought the card game while we were at Gen Con. And they didn't have a lot of Wings of Glory or Sails of Glory stock there at all. And it's funny because I know a lot of times I've heard from people when I would do interviews with Ares Games, they'd be like, how come you didn't talk about Wings of Glory? And I'm like, because they didn't have anything new. There was nothing new coming out. They were talking about how they were out of stock of all this stuff. So anyway, Michael Chad says, Cobalt Press is a class company. Yes, they're all super nice. I really enjoyed talking with Wolfgang Bauer, and he's always very complimentary too. So there is that. Next up, Modifius Entertainment, which they're a company that I don't know going forward what's going to happen. They were utilizing a marketing company and things are going pretty nicely as far as, and you've seen loads and loads of coverage over like up to about 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, of Modifius Entertainment releases. And then they went to a marketing person, and I don't know. I reached out and asked for a review copy of the second edition of Star Trek Adventures. Never heard anything back. So I don't know. But I got to say, I always really like Modifius Entertainment. Chris Birch, I've talked to a few times over the years. In fact, we interviewed him the year that they had announced that they were going to do a Star Trek role-playing game. And that's how far back that was. And it's kind of funny. We were one of the first, if not the first outlet to review a Achtung Cthulhu adventure. It was the first one that came out. That was back when Achtung Cthulhu was actually for Call of Cthulhu. So I go back a long way with Modifius Entertainment. So we'll have to see. We will have to see. John Muscola is with us in chat, says, you should know Modifius Entertainment. It's run by some great people. I think it's just another situation where, and it happens a lot in this hobby, where one person is a marketing person for a company and they leave, they go someplace else, and they take all their contacts with them. And then, of course, if, Modifius Entertainment was using a marketing company, and then they decided they were not going to use the company anymore, that company's not going to sit there and be like, oh, hey, here's all the contacts. No, definitely not. So anyway, hopefully we'll see things get back on track with Modiphius Entertainment. But their Dune role-playing game is excellent. The box set that they came out with, which is kind of a starter set, but it's not called a starter set, Agents of Dune, was phenomenal. It was excellent. Really captured in my opinion, the essence of Frank Herbert's stories really, really nicely. So Modiphius Entertainment isn't just Achtung Cthulhu. They aren't just Star Trek Adventures. There's a lot out there. They also do some publishing for some third parties also, just like Cubicle 7 Games used to do. Modiphius has kind of picked up on that. So lots out there, pretty cool stuff. A lot of really good role-playing games. Like I said, I'm really interested in checking out the second edition of Star Trek Adventures. Fingers crossed. Maybe we'll get a chance. So I've got 2 publishers left. Semper Buffo says, Jim Johnson, project manager for Star Trek Modiphius, is in the States. He will help you. See, you also have to keep in mind, I'm not real big on like reaching out to publishers. I mean, once I've got stuff established, I go, yeah, that's fine. I go back and I email back and forth with people all the time. And I tend to be pretty chatty in my correspondence with various different publishers and that. I'm just not real good at going, oh, hey, gimme. I don't know. It's probably just the way I was raised. Just like even when we were covering a lot of tabletop role-playing games and board games. In fact, a lot of people don't realize the Gaming Gang was far more board games than anything else for probably the first 8 years or so that we were around. And even, just like going to conventions and stuff, I'll go talk to a publisher I've never worked with before that maybe I'm interested in. Not like, oh yeah, could I get review copies of that? No. Anyway, but we will see. We'll see. Michael Chad says they like Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition. It was supposed to get streamlined. I understand that. And hopefully they've kind of stamped out the whole, people are like, 2D20 is confusing. It's really not. Is it as intuitive as rolling a 20-sided die and rolling high? No. But it's not difficult to figure out. All right. My next publisher is Paizo Inc. This is another company. I don't know what the future holds, but right now, they send everything that comes out for Pathfinder and Starfighter. We get the videos out there as soon as we possibly can. I review some of the stuff. Sammy tends to review a lot of the Pathfinder and Starfinder releases. But the thing is, once again, I know you're going to think, geez, Jeff's harping on this quite a bit. Another marketing change. And Paizo Inc. went from being a company that would always promote our video coverage on social media to nothing. They don't share stuff for almost anybody. There is one outlet that I do see them post things about and nobody else. So I don't know. In fact, funny enough, I just got the box for this month's releases, which is 3 flip mats and the finale of the curtain. What is it? Curtain Call Adventure Path. I almost said Stage Fright, but that's the first chapter of it. The last part of it. And on the box in markers said last. like, So I did reach out to Paizo Inc. and ask, was there a reason why they weren't sharing anything, any of the videos or anything like that anymore? And, once again, I think it kind of defeats the purpose of sending physical copies of stuff if you don't care. If you're like, whatever. So I don't know. I have no idea. So we shall see. But as of now, Paizo Inc., always top notch. I'll tell you something else I really like about Paizo Inc., especially if you're a Pathfinder fan. You've always got content coming out. It isn't like, 5e D&D every 6 months, you get an adventure book. Now, I know they're coming out a little more often than that. But for the most part, it's usually 6-8 months for an adventure release. Every month, there's something new from Paizo Inc. as far as the adventure path. And then a lot of times you'll get standalone stuff, just like Pray for Death, which is part of the big storyline for Pathfinder. In fact, Sammy did a review of this also. Tim Johnson says, yeah, the content from them is crazy. Tim Johnson says, I really wish they would. I follow them on Blue Sky too, and they don't put out a lot of, here's our cool stuff and links to reviewer videos there either. Yeah, they don't do it anywhere. Paizo Inc.'s social media feeds have basically become advertisements. Every post is essentially an advertisement for one of their releases or for Pathfinder or for an actual play that they're involved with. So that's kind of the marketing scheme that we see these days. I know I sound like I harp about this stuff with the marketing, but marketing is not just sitting there and posting sell sheet info on a social media site or links to sell sheet info on social media sites. Sadly, I have seen over the past few years a turn from publishers, and we're not just talking about role-playing games, we're talking board games here as well. Publishers going from having a community on a social media website to just being essentially push notifications. So kind of sad to see. A little bit of discussion about Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of from Modiphius Entertainment. Yeah, that was excellent. Boy, the work that was invested in that lineup, wow. Really, really nicely done. Sorry to say, license moved on, and that was the end of that, sadly enough. All right, final of my favorite publishers, and there have been people guessing at this already, Trollord Games. The Chenaults are always super nice to talk with. If you've seen any of my interviews that I've done, there's a good amount of joking around, which I always like. I mean, we're talking about games, crying out loud. I mean, have some fun. So always enjoy dealing with them. The folks, as far as with the marketing for Trollord Games, super, super nice. We've gotten pretty tight in a pretty short period of time. So what was it, about 2-3 years ago? About 2-3 years ago is when I first started sharing some coverage of Castles and Crusades. And I just got a whole bunch of stuff that this month is actually Trollord Games month. In fact, over the weekend, I shared reviews of the Storyteller's Thesaurus and the Storyteller's Dictionary. And today was my first look at the new edition of the Codex of Aird, which is kind of the default fantasy setting of Castles and Crusades. And of course, this is Castle Zagyig, Igsburg. That's this supplement here, which of course I will have a review of this month also. But yeah, Troll Lord Games, super, super nice. And they go the extra mile to take care of their customers too. So I've heard stories of people having shipping problems or something damaged in shipping, and not a problem, taken care of ASAP. They give military discounts for their products. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. I know. Sound a little bit like Larry David doing that. Pretty good. Pretty good. I like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I always thought it was a pretty funny show. All right. So once again, Troll Lord Games, excellent folks. Great content. I talk about Castles and Crusades quite often on the live stream. It is one of my favorite fantasy role-playing games. And if you're looking for an old school vibe, but you want more modern mechanics, it is absolutely perfect. Anthony Simone says that they're running Igsburg at Page Convention in January. They love the trolls. Badger says both Castles and Crusades and Swords and Wizardry are great. Matt Finch is awesome. I interviewed Matt Finch once, and I should touch base with him again because I reviewed Swords and Wizardry. I want to say it was complete and really liked it. And then there was the little box set that came out, and I reviewed that. And now I know they've got the remastered Swords and Wizardry. I would like to take a peek at, because Swords and Wizardry, in my opinion, is another excellent retro clone that's out there. Really nicely done. So maybe we'll end up talking a little bit about Swords and Wizardry during Old School October. Anyway, I was going to also say I saw somebody had mentioned something about Artelsorian Games being on the list. I don't really have a connection with them anymore. They got it. I know it's a broken record here. They got a new marketing person, and they had released. There was a new release, and I had reached out, and they, the new marketing person, said that they weren't interested in sending a review copy. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. So yeah, once again, their prerogative. I don't sit there and get mad, or I just think to myself, okay, well, it's the marketing person who doesn't know me. Doesn't know the outlet. So it's like, okay, that's fine. All right. Anthony Simone says they're starting a Call Cthulhu Castles and Crusades campaign in Greyhawk soon. And they're going to be putting Igsburg in there. Crafty Matt says they're going to give Jeff Talanian's Hyperborea game a shout out. It's their favorite old school game. It's right there. 3rd edition's right over there. You can't really see it with the mic stand. But yeah, it's right there in the corner. Yes. I like that quite a bit too. You know, my favorite part of Hyperborea is probably the subclasses. I think that is pretty cool. Do like that. As far as the setting itself, the kind of science fantasy, not as big a fan. I don't know. And it's not like I don't dig stuff like the Purple Planet. Well, although I can't say I would dig it because I've never seen it. But I mean, I like science fantasy stuff. Hyperborea, you know what I think part of it is too, is I don't think there's been a ton of support for it. Like adventures, right? Because one of the things that I always talk about as far as if you're going to have a core system, you got to have, you can't just rely on third-party creators out there. got to come in-house. There's got to be a good amount of in-house support for role-playing game. So one of the reasons why when I'll share news about like Osprey Games, and they'll come out with a role-playing game. And I have reviewed some Osprey Games, role-playing games. But I will point out, I don't know what kind of support it's going to get. Because the vast majority of the role-playing games and even the miniatures games that come out from Osprey Games, it's a one and done. That's it. I mean, Jackal's got 2 books. I think Jackal's got 2 supplements. I know they had 1. But for the most part, just about everything else that comes out is just, here you go. What was Dark City? Wasn't that the noir role-playing game? I thought that was really nicely done. And then that was it. Crafty Matt says Hyperborea has 14 in-house modules and 3 just got kickstarted. Well, that's cool. I don't hear about them. So, and the funny thing is that Kickstarter, it was backed. In fact, I want to say that the person who likes to help support the gaming gang and send funds to kickstart stuff did that for Hyperborea. So strangely enough, I get emails about Hyperborea. I just don't recall seeing too many saying, hey, we got some new adventures. I did see the 3 that had just gotten kickstarted, though. Chris Lundgren says they never see it in game stores. No, you probably wouldn't. Those of you out there might be wondering, well, what happened to, like, Columbia Games? I thought you and Grant Dalglish are pretty tight. We are, but I just haven't covered a lot of stuff from Columbia Games. Although, Old School October, I will share my review of Harn World. Crafty Matt says Jeff T is a one-man shop. Very nice. All right, so there is a look at my favorite publishers and why. Tomorrow night's, I don't know. I don't know what topic we're going to tackle. I was thinking of maybe discussing some pitfalls that many tabletop gaming reviewers are falling into, or pitfalls that tabletop gaming reviewers should avoid. I'm considering talking about that on tomorrow's show. I'll see. Yeah, you never know. Every once in a while, something pops up and it's like, ooh, I guess I'll talk about that. But I think that might be it. Some pitfalls tabletop reviewers need to avoid. Unless something, jumps up between now and then. All righty. If you are watching live, thank you very much. If you happen to be watching live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company as well. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Really do appreciate you taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel, which we have passed 14,000 subs. Hooray. I wish those subs would watch more of the videos, but we passed 14,000 subscribers. That's kind of cool. Anyway, if you like the video, by all means, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Add to that 14,000. And of course, if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, as I'm reaching for a book over here, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. I'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my upcoming review of Delta Green, God's Teeth, from one of my favorite publishers, Art Dream Publishing. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. And as always, we certainly hope all of you always get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.